And for some reason, she has to jump on this guy, this random guy's arm, to sends her this cocktail. Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Princess Weiyoung, a 2016 Chinese drama with all of our favorite Chinese drama tropes. Love, betrayal, drama. And while we do that, I will be doing my makeup. I'll be following a makeup tutorial called Why Do I Still Look Bad After Makeup? And I don't know about you, but that's something I need in my life. This drama had pros and cons. If you want to get into a drama and you just want like the standard Chinese drama experience, this one's for you. So let's get started. So there are two countries, Liang and Wei. And Liang is under attack from Wei. So the day that Wei is attacking Liang is the day that our protagonist is born. Now our protagonist is initially named Shiner, and the king of Liang has to decide whether or not he's going to fight or whether he's going to surrender. He eventually decides to surrender because he doesn't want any unnecessary bloodshed. Next thing you know, we jump in time to 18 years later. Our first scene is Shiner and her bodyguard dressed as men, obviously. They are men. And for some reason, buying lanterns for your grandma's birthday is much easier when you're a man, not when you're a princess. So she goes out to buy lanterns, but something happens. While they're getting the lanterns, a forge nearby has some sparks come out of it, lights some of the lanterns, like 3 lanterns. Shiner has to go after them. Shiner goes flying off. She can't quite get this last, what are they, lamps? And for some reason, she has to jump on this guy, this random guy's arm. Now, this guy is the main character. His name is Jun, and he is actually the Prince of Wei, people who subjugated Liang 18 years ago. So he jumps up, catches the lamp, catches her, and then they float down together so romantically. When they get to the bottom, she's upset. She's like, "How dare you grab me?" And he's like, So after that, she walks away and we skip to Grandma's birthday. Grandma is like 20 million years old. During the birthday party, they release the lanterns. Now, what we don't know yet is that there is an evil family in Wei, and they have found some mines in Liang that they want. And the only way they can get them is if they take down the Liang royal family, I think, because like the royal family will control the mines otherwise. So they've staged a secret plan during this party to frame the Liang royal family. Now, those lanterns that Shiner picked up earlier, when the lanterns are released, the evil Chiyun family general shoots them with some arrows and they start releasing poisonous gases. Everyone freaks out, and he takes this opportunity to kill them all. So he starts killing everyone, and Shiner runs off. Ooh. We're gonna fix this. So Shiner runs off, but not before she sees Chiyun, who is the general, kill her dad. She and her grandma escape the palace, and they're, running away, and then grandma's like, "Go on without me." And Shiner's like, "No, grandma, no." And then she's like, "Let's go." So she goes, but then she, of course, stops and looks back and watches them kill her grandma. Because she decided to stop and look back, they see her, start going after her. Her bodyguard puts on her cloak and her little jade pendant, heads them off, and then Shiner runs the other way and falls down a cliff. See what happens to her later. Meanwhile, they catch the bodyguard and kill her. So Shiner fell down the cliff. And then she meets this character called Weiyoung. That's the show title. Weiyoung takes her in and she tells her about her family who sent her to the countryside because she was born in February, and apparently people who are born in February are bad luck. Weiyoung's grandma has summoned Weiyoung for her birthday party. Everyone's granny's birthday parties right now. I don't know what it is. So she summons Weiyoung for her birthday party. However, first wife, not the mother of Weiyoung, this is ancient China, so there are multiple wives in this family, doesn't like Weiyoung, and so she decides to send an assassin to kill Weiyoung before she can come back for grandma's party. Rude. By the way, the first wife is also related to the general who killed Weiyoung's family. That'll be important. Okay, so the assassin comes and kills Weiyoung, but not before Shiner kills him, because she pulls this boss move and freaking stabs him. Weiyoung dies, the assassin dies, and Shiner decides that she get revenge on the Chiyun family for killing her family by taking Weiyoung's spot. So Weiyoung takes her place. The convoy arrives from Pink City, which is the capital of Wei, to pick up Weiyoung. So first wife finds out that Weiyoung is not dead because other Weiyoung took her spot. So she decides to send another assassin to kill Weiyoung. She just really doesn't like her. You know, this February thing was just a real problem, I guess. So when Weiyoung is staying in a little inn on the way back to Pink City, this assassin lights fire in Weiyoung's house. Weiyoung might have died. Guess who saved her? Tuaba Jun's there. What are the odds? So Tuaba Jun luckily is there and saves her, but they don't really talk afterwards, and he just leaves and she's like, oh, okay, bye. And so she finally gets to Pink City despite 2 assassination attempts. So she gets there and she meets everyone. This seems like a good time to talk about the main characters. Weiyoung is the daughter of the prime minister's foot washer, who he took as a concubine. As you might imagine, not a very high status in the family. Then there is Li Changla, who is the daughter of the first wife. She's obviously higher in status, and she's also quite beautiful. Then we have Li Mingfeng, who is the son of the first wife. Next we have Li Chengru and Li Chengxi. They are both daughters of the second aunt, or second wife. I think it's wife, but they call her aunt, I don't know. Okay, then we have Li Minda. He is the adopted son of the third wife. Now the royal family of Wei is also important because like every single one of them is going to fall in love with Li Weiyoung. So let's go through them. So we have the emperor. He has a grandson and 2 sons. Grandson is Tuaba Jun, who we've met already. Then we have Tuaba Yu, he's one of the sons, and we have Tuaba Han, the other son. So Tuaba Yu and Tuaba Jun are going to be the important ones. Let's go from there. Okay, so as you might imagine, the first wife, whose name is Chiun Ruo, I can't speak in Chinese, is upset that Weiyoung is not dead. After trying to kill her 2 times. She's like, this is upsetting. I want her to be dead. So she tries to kill her again. So she has some spiritual guide tell the prime minister that Weiyoung is bad luck and sends her to the country. And while she's in the country, she feeds her poison. And then because she's like almost dying, all of the villagers think that she's bad luck and she ends up in the bushes in the country. But fear not, because when she's about to die in the bushes, guess who finds her? So Tuaba Jun finds her. He happens to be running away from assassins nearby, which never becomes important again. He takes her to an inn and gets her cleaned up. And this is where they have the first stirrings of romance. But then he gets a letter from his mom saying that she's sick and he has to leave. He leaves her a letter, but like some maid takes it for some reason, so she doesn't know who he is. The son of the third wife, Li Mingde, convinces the prime minister to let Weiyoung come back. She gets invited to a banquet with the crown princess. Ooh. Crown princess is the daughter-in-law of the emperor. While they're at the banquet, Li Changla sings a song for everyone. Side note, very badly dubbed song. And then the crown princess notices this jade ornament that Changla is wearing. The jade ornament is what Li Mingfeng, Changla's brother, got for her from Liang back when they like took down the bodyguard that was posing as Weiyoung. One of the things Weiyoung has done since she's gotten here is she's stolen it back and replaced it with a fake one. So Li Changla is wearing the fake one. The crown princess notices and
他曾经说过，在这块绝世玉珏的背面有一个十字划痕，可这块玉珏。
Li Changla and her brother Li Mingfeng realize if we have the fake one, then the real princess must be out there somewhere, alive. So after the banquet, Weiyoung runs into Tuaba Jun, and this is where she figures out that he is the emperor's grandson.
二姐，拜见高阳王殿下。
She is shocked. This will be a problem through like most of the drama. Now, after the banquet, Li Changla and Li Mingfeng decide that they want to figure out what's going on with Weiyoung. So they decide to recruit one of Weiyoung's maids as a spy. Basically, Li Mingfeng tells her that if she spies for him, then he will marry her, a concubine or something like that. Pretty much here on out, they know everything that Weiyoung's doing. Now in national news, there has been a flood. The emperor has said that anyone who can come up with a good relief plan will get a great reward. Meanwhile, Weiyoung is like wandering through the countryside for some reason, and she gets like attacked by ruffians, and of course Tuaba Jun comes to save her. So when Tuaba Jun finds Weiyoung, he's all like trying to hang out with her and stuff, and she's like, no. But then she feels bad because he's like taking care of all the disaster relief and stuff. She decides to write a disaster relief plan for him because what do you know?
这些是刘宋一位能人写的关于救灾的书籍。哀家现在限你10日之内将它全部背下来。
What are the odds? It's just so random. She writes out the disaster relief plan, but then Xian, her spy servant, copies it and gives it to Chang'le, and Chang'le gives it to the emperor. Now the emperor loves the plan, and Chang'le is now the bomb.com, okay? Weiyoung finds out about this and she's upset. Turns out that disaster relief plan is not complete, apparently. So she's like, we need to add more to it because it's not complete, but no one listens to her.
这救灾之策虽好，可是在实行的过程中容易出现问题，中间环节过多，赈灾之物一层层的剥下去，最后发放的权力在虚吏、理政的手中。如果他们利用灾情谋私利、虚报、谎报、瞒报的话
Li Mingfeng is intimidated by her saying this, and so in order to prove that it will work, they institute it in like the Qiyun family area, and it goes horribly. Then Weiyoung is summoned to the emperor because she's really the one who wrote the plan. But before she can say anything, Chang'le and Mingfeng burst in. Xian gave them the fix that Weiyoung had come up with, but Weiyoung suspected that Xian might have been doing this, so she didn't give the whole fix. They come in with this like half plan, and when Weiyoung starts to question them about it, they can't really answer. And now they look bad in front of the emperor, and Weiyoung looks good. So, and she gets promoted, she gets a title, and so does her mom. Li Mingfeng and Chang'le are punished. Mingfeng is stripped of his title, and Chang'le has to copy the disaster relief plan 1,000 times. Now, this whole thing had impressed Weiyoung, who, if you remember, is one of the emperor's sons. And you can tell by his face that he's evil, because in Chinese dramas, if someone looks evil, it means they're evil. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. So the next day there is a banquet for Weiyoung. During the banquet, Li Chang'le comes up to Weiyoung because she has like a huge honking crush on it. She's like, I'm so sorry about the disaster relief plan thing. Are you disappointed in me? And he's like,
而且我从来就不曾失望，没有希望哪来的失望？
Ow, ow, that hurt. He really doesn't like her. But Weiyoung has a secret plan. While they're out putting lanterns in the river after the banquet, she floats Xian's dead body down the banquet because literally this guy has killed Xian because he like doesn't really care about her. And everyone's shocked and she's like, hey Xian, isn't that your concubine? And so because this was in front of everyone, Xian looks bad and the emperor is really mad and he's actually going to send him to exile now. On his way to exile, Jun Tao finds him and kills him because he stabbed her. But he tells her before he dies that Yunro, the first wife, was the one who decided to put the powders in the lanterns, so first wife is partly responsible for the death of the royal family. Okay, so the next day, Jun comes to visit Weiyoung, and he just catches her at just the right. But of course she won't talk to him because he's the grandson of her enemy. So then the next day, first wife, Jinro, takes all the girls out to this abbey to do some good work. They're going to take some soup and give it out to the poor. And guess who shows up when they're all there? Jun and Weiyoung. Turns out Jinro actually advertised that they were going to the abbey so that they would come, so that she could enact an evil plan. It's been so long since I've eaten this. Ah, here we are. It's gonna be interesting. Turns out that Li Changru, she is the daughter of the second wife, has a huge crush on Weiyoung and like has loved him since childhood, but he's never noticed her before. So she ends up alone with him and takes the opportunity to tell him the story of a strangler fig. Now, strangler figs are actually very interesting. I was in Costa Rica last year and learned about them. They are a type of tree that like grows up around a host tree, and then eventually it'll strangle the host tree and stop it from getting light, and then the host tree dies, and then you just have this huge strangler fig. So she tells him the story about the strangler fig, and he's like, wonder who's gonna be the strangler fig. And he's intrigued, but he's still more impressed with Li Weiyoung at this point. So it's time to give out the food, and this peasant comes up and is like,
我是周家庄人，我有事要求见二小姐。
这就是二小姐，有什么事你找她说吧。
你不是二小姐。
And it turns out this woman is from Li Weiyoung's hometown. And this is in front of the princess, so now everyone knows that Li Weiyoung's identity is in question. So they all go back to the manor, and there's a big investigation about whether Weiyoung is real or not. Okay, I did my eyeliner. I suck at eyeliner. That's what we're gonna do, okay? Weiyoung comes back, and Xiongro has a great case against her. She has this witness from her hometown who says it's not Weiyoung, and she has this corpse that she's literally dug up from the ground that she says is Weiyoung. And it's looking pretty bad for Weiyoung, but then Weiyoung notices that this corpse has 6 toes. Then the prime minister's like, oh, my daughter never had 6 toes. Phew. But then Jiunro has more. She literally brings in this girl who looks exactly like the original Weiyoung. Shiner, who is posing as Weiyoung, is like, what the heck? Like, this literally looks exactly like the girl I'm replacing, who I know is dead. So what Weiyoung decides to do is she calls in her mom. She's like, Mom, who's the real person? Now, Weiyoung's mom hasn't seen Weiyoung since she was young. She doesn't know what she looks like, but apparently the original Weiyoung had a birthmark like under her ear right here. So she checks this fake Weiyoung and she doesn't have the birthmark. So she's like, she's not my daughter. However, Shiner, who's posing as Weiyoung, also doesn't have the birthmark. So I guess her mom's just deciding which imposter she likes more. But anyway, fake Weiyoung is let out. Now it turns out fake Weiyoung has a literal Mission Impossible mask that she's put on her face. This brings in the premise that anyone can look like anyone. Like, you can put on these Mission Impossible masks and look like someone else. The Chiun family has this ability, so that might be important later on. Okay, so that's another Jiunro attempt in the books. So now Weiyoung is just minding her own business, and her maid is like, hey, why don't we go to the lake? It would be nice. Turns out maid has been asked by Tuaba Jun to bring her there. So they happen upon each other, and Weiyoung's like, oh, they can't be together, and he's like, why not? Just have lunch with me. And so she's like, okay, fine, I'll have lunch with you. But then guess who else turns up? Freaking Tuaba Yu. Everyone just like follows her around all the time. I don't know. The main character is just perfect, I guess. So then the three proceed to have this awkward lunch together, and then this random red ant bites Weiyoung's hand, and then Tuaba Jun sweeps in and like sucks the poison out of her hand. And we all feel like Tuaba Yu here. And then we find out that Tuaba Yu actually had that like ant in his pocket because he wanted to do the poison sucking thing, because that is apparently his way of seducing women. Cool. But you know, guys, it's been a whole episode since Jiunro has tried to kill Weiyoung, so you know we gotta get to that again. So this time, Jiunro pretends she has been cursed.
老爷，夫人的确中了邪术，只有找到邪物，方能救回夫人的性命。
法师，这邪物所在何处呢？
邪物就在此宅岛。
And then she like plants this doll under Weiyoung's bed. Then the Prime Minister confines Weiyoung to her room, and Chang Le comes over and starts like torturing her. It's like, when people are bad in Chinese dramas, they're like bad. You know what I'm saying? So while Chang Le is torturing her, she finds this fan that's like, whose fan is this? And Weiyoung won't give it away. She's like, it's this guy from Holmes. And then Chang Le's like, I bet Tuaba Jun will be happy to find out she has a peasant lover. So then Chang Le goes to freaking Tuaba Jun and she's like,
这是二妹最珍视的东西。
你说这是未央最珍视的东西？
是，这是二妹以前乡下情郎送给她的。二妹一直都把它收藏得很好，后来被发现，母亲怕影响她的归育，所以就收了起来。我知道二妹非常珍惜。
Tuaba Jun sees the fan and he's like, I know for a fact this is mine. And now he knows that it's important to Weiyoung, because of course like Weiyoung won't admit it herself and won't ever tell them. This is the only way for him to find out, okay? He doesn't say anything, but then a little while later he gets a note, and the note says Weiyoung's in trouble. Turns out this note is sent by Chang Ru. Chang Ru has Weiyoung's back, but she doesn't want anyone to know about it at this point. So Tuaba Jun gets this note and immediately tries to go find Weiyoung. Now when Chang Ru hears that he's coming, she freaks out and sends him in immediately to go kill her. They string her up, make it look like a suicide, like she's hanging herself. Luckily, Tuaba Jun shows up just in time. And then Jiunro says she hung herself because of this peasant lover and the fan thing. And Weiyoung doesn't say any differently because it involves too many people, and I guess she doesn't want to like implicate anyone else in front of the prince. So then Tuaba Jun's like,
若是因为这把折扇，还请夫人不要再责备二小姐。二小姐都是为了我才隐瞒，因为这把折扇是我的。
everyone's like, while he's there, he writes some characters in his hand, and these are characters of a restaurant that he wants her to go meet her at. She goes to meet him, and he's like, tell me what happened. She's like, no. That's when it finally happens. He tells her he likes her.
因为我担心你，因为我喜欢你。这话我很早就想说了。
But guess what Weiyoung says?
可是我一点都不喜欢你。
But he calls her bluff. He's like, well, if you don't like me, why'd you keep this fan? And then she says, well, I didn't realize it was yours. And then he's like, really? And then she's like, yeah. And then she throws it out the window, and he's like, and leaves. And then she's like, and then she gets it after he leaves. It's like, so manufactured drama though. It's like almost too much to handle sometimes. Honestly, it like kind of annoys me when they write women this way. When a guy's like, you like me, and the woman's like, no, and then she really does. It teaches men, or just society in general, that you can't trust what a woman says. When she says she doesn't like you, she really likes you. I mean, it would just be so much better if they could just be honest in their relationship. But then we wouldn't have a story, so there's that, I guess. But of course, Jianru is not done. When she finds out about the whole fan thing, that Weiyoung has Tuaba Jun's fan, she goes to tell the Crown Princess, who, by the way, is Tuaba Jun's mother. And Crown Princess is not happy because she does not like Weiyoung. She likes Changla. Changla has done a very good job of ingratiating herself with the Crown Princess. She wants her son to marry Changla. So this pretty much makes her hate Weiyoung for like the rest of this show. Great. So moving on. Later, Tuaba Yu goes to visit Changla and Mingfeng. There's like this hullabaloo where they try to get Minda to eat this peach, but then Weiyoung intervenes and saves him. And Tuaba Yu is very impressed. So he gets Weiyoung alone and he's like, I'm very impressed with how you handle that conflict, but there's a better way. And when she asks what that better way is, he's like,
从古至今，男人得到权势的方法多种多样，但女人却只能依附男人。现主若能依附拥有权势的男人，那些人还会是你的阻碍吗？
I think he just proposed. Meanwhile, Tuaba Jun's with the Emperor and he's like, I'm sad. And the Emperor's like, why? He's like, because the girl I like doesn't like me. And the Emperor's like, well, is she betrothed? And he's like, no. And then the Emperor's like, well, then you still have a chance. Oh. Then the Emperor says,
想要拥有心仪之人，你必须要有决心、有勇气去夺取他的芳心，千万不要轻言放弃。就像朕的大好河山，如果朕不曾奋力开拓，哪有今日一统北方、傲视群雄的局面？
So now Tuaba Jun has to try harder. He sends her this cocktail. Apparently this is a messenger cocktail. And the cocktail tells her how much Tuaba Jun loves her. And then she sends it back and then it comes back.
以后不要再过来。
By the way, cocktails can't really talk like that. There are mixed reactions to this cocktail. So Li Minda, the adopted son of the third wife, he's jealous. Guess why? He also likes Weiyoung. And then Juntao, her bodyguard, is upset because she doesn't like anyone to do with Wei. But if you ask me, it seems like Juntao might have a little crush too.
君桃姐姐，你是不是身体不舒服啊？一大早就这副怪表情。
Anyway, Changru tells Tianru that the third wife, the one that helped Weiyoung with the whole like framing Li Mingfeng thing, you know, he like died and stuff. So Madame Rose literally gives the third wife the plague, the freaking plague, guys. And she sends assassins to kill Li Minda. This is all for helping, for like helping Weiyoung, okay? Minda is able to resist the assassins, however his mom dies. And because of the assassins, he can't get home in time to see her. Now, when he gets home, he's really sad and he decides to drink away his troubles. There's this really funny scene where Weiyoung intervenes and there's this like dramatic music in the background while Weiyoung literally throws a bucket of water in his face. I can't get over it, guys. That wasn't important, but it was like literally my favorite moment of this whole drama. Okay, so I finished my makeup. I guess it's not too bad. So this is part 1 of probably like 3 because like this is a 60 episode drama and we'll keep going. Next is Weiyoung's revenge. There's more. So tune in next time for Weiyoung part 2.